In my previous life, my husband had a brain injury and turned from a capable farmer into a fool who didn't recognize his relatives. When he got angry, he would smash things, curse, and beat anyone he caught. But as long as the name of his first love, Diana, was mentioned, he would immediately calm down and be obedient. So my son brought Diana home to help take care of my husband. Mom, you see, Dad is at peace when he sees Aunt Diana, so just let her stay at home. It's just an extra pair of chopsticks, and she can help you share some of the burden. Because of my husband's illness, I had no choice but to nod. During the day, I took care of the family's food, drink, and defecation, went to the fields to earn work points to support the family, and at night I had to sew, iron, and wash. I was so tired that I couldn't even straighten my back. I endured for 5 years and became sick from exhaustion. I coughed all night and couldn't sleep. In the end, it was diagnosed as tuberculosis, which had no cure. I coughed heartbreakingly on the Kong, but my son thought I was unlucky. My husband sat next to me and stopped pretending. He took Diana's hand and said softly, "Wait until that woman dies, then we'll have the wedding. In the future, I just want to live a good life with you." It turns out that there is no such thing as being stupid. It was nothing more than a conspiracy between the father and the mother. When I opened my eyes again, I went back to the day when my son brought Diana home for the first time and said he wanted to welcome her. The bowl of steaming chicken soup on the table was the only meat in the house. My husband Brian quickly stretched out his chopsticks, tremblingly, and pushed all the chicken in the bowl into the rough bowl in front of Diana, mumbling, "Eat, Lien, eat." My son also diligently used chopsticks to help Diana remove the bones of the chicken. And Diana, eat more. My mother has been stewing it for a long time. Diana had a proud look on her face, and she glanced at me reluctantly. "Brother Brian, you are so good to me. I don't know how to thank you." From beginning to end, no one looked at me. No one asked me if I was tired or hungry. I experienced this feeling of being treated as air and completely ignored for 5 years in my previous life. Brian and I were married by our parents' orders and the matchmaker's words. We got married and had a house full of children. The year he broke his brain, our son was only 10 years old. I supported this family by myself, serving him, raising the children, and working in the fields to earn work points. When he acted naughty, he would pick up a carrying pole and beat me. My body was covered with bruises, and I had to hold back my tears even when my bones were broken. But my son told me that people with broken brains have bad memories. But Brian never forgot Diana, the lover he had when he was young. Every time he made a scene, he would calm down as long as Diana's name was mentioned. How ridiculous. My man was sick, and he forgot the woman who gave birth to his children, but was obsessed with other women. Later, my son simply brought her home, saying that this would stimulate his father's recovery. I began to serve my stupid husband while also having to look at Diana's face and bring her food and drink. During those years, I became so thin that I was unrecognizable, and most of my hair turned white. Occasionally, when I complained to my son, he would immediately glare at me. "Why doesn't Dad make a fuss in front of Aunt Diana?" "Mom, is it because you didn't serve him well enough?" I endured that kind of life for 5 years, which drained my energy and broke my body. In the end, I was exhausted and lay on the Kong waiting to die. "Mom, why are you standing there? The fire is going out. Hurry up and add some firewood." My son's impatient voice pulled me out of my memories. I looked up and saw him chewing on a steamed bun, his mouth full. Suelian was chewing on the hen that I had saved up for several months with my work points, her mouth full of oil. Brian was still grinning foolishly, staring at Suelian so intently that he didn't see us eating. "Go and add some firewood. There is no water in the water tank. We have to fetch water soon, and the manure in front of the house should be dumped out too. How can you be so lazy?" My son ordered me around as a matter of course, and there was no respect for his mother in his tone. The 3 of them were enjoying the rare meat, but they asked me, who had just finished the heavy work, to go back to work. I picked up the bowl of wild vegetable porridge on the table that had hardly been touched and took a sip slowly. Seeing that I didn't respond, my son raised his voice. "Mom, I'm talking to you. Are you deaf?" I put down the bowl. Without looking at him, my eyes fell on Suelian's bowl full of chicken, and then I overturned the bowl to the ground. The boiling hot chicken soup and meat spilled all over Diana and splashed all over Brian and her son's faces. Diana screamed and jumped up, not caring about the heat, and desperately slapped her blue cloth jacket. Her son also jumped up, pointed at my nose and cursed. "What are you doing, you crazy woman?" Everyone was shocked by my words. Even Brian stopped laughing and stared blankly at the mess on the ground. I sat down again, looked at Diana's embarrassed look, and then looked at her furious son and said coldly, "I am teaching the ignorant beast a lesson. I should have strangled him to death back then. Why gave birth to him? He was raised to bite me when he grew up." Her son wanted to yell again, but Diana grabbed him. She suppressed her anger and forced a smile. "Sister Ellie, what are you doing? There is no overnight grudge between family members. Stop being angry." Nathan was also worried about his father, so he was anxious. Brian finally reacted, sat down on the ground, and began to cry loudly. While crying, he picked up the steamed bread on the table leg and threw it at me. "Beat you, bad woman, beat you to death." The steamed bread hit me, leaving dirty marks, again and again. I stood up, walked in front of him, and looked down at him. "Stop pretending, the ground is cold. Be careful you get stupid, then who will take care of your pee?" Brian's crying paused obviously, and there was some panic in his eyes. Suelian came over quickly to protect him, coaxing him softly. "Don't be afraid, I'm here." She turned her head and looked at me with a reproachful tone. "Sister Ellie, look how you scared him. His brain is not working well, can't you be more lenient with him?" "Yes, mother. Your father is like this, and you are still mean to him." My son also rushed over and pushed me back, fearing that I would provoke his father again. I looked at Brian coldly as he shivered in Suelian's arms. His acting skills were really poor. Why did I believe this trick in my previous life? I think he is getting more and more stupid. I'm afraid the village doctor can't cure him. I'll take him to the county hospital tomorrow. Find a doctor to check his brain. "No," the son shouted without thinking. Diana also quickly replied, "How much money will it cost to go to the county town? Besides, Brother Brian can't stand the tossing back and forth. I think it's better to take care of him at home." The son immediately agreed. "Right, why bother? Just find a folk remedy and try it. Why spend that money?" I looked coldly at my nervous son and Diana, who was avoiding my eyes, and said, "I have the final say in this matter. No matter who objects, it's useless." It turns out that they were also afraid of being exposed. After Brian broke his brain, I accepted my fate, thinking that even if he was stupid for his whole life, I would serve him for his whole life. It's ridiculous. In the end, he was not stupid at all, and I was a complete fool. Nathan was his own son, but he helped outsiders to plot against his own mother. Only I was led by the nose by them and revolved around them until I was exhausted. This time, I wonder how long you can continue this drama. The welcoming banquet naturally ended in a bad mood. When I got home, my son poured Diana a bowl of hot water. Another bowl was brought to Brian, but there was no share for me. He glanced at my room, and there was only a torn reed mat on the Kong. "Mom, what's wrong with you? Where will Aunt Suelian stay tonight? At least your room has a Kong. Clean up and let Aunt Suelian stay." I replied indifferently, "Whoever invited her should make the arrangements. I'm not a nanny." My son was choked by me and was speechless. Suelian next to him showed her usual smile. "Nathan, don't say anything. I think Sister Ellie's room is very good. I can just make a bed on the floor." I picked up the old quilt with several patches on the Kong and said, "There is also a torn straw mat in the woodshed. I will sleep there." I ignored their surprise and walked out with the quilt in my arms. There are only 2 habitable rooms in this adobe house. One is where Brian and I used to live, and the other is my son's. After Brian fell and became stupid, I moved to the small side room next to my son. Now Suelian is here, and my son actually wants me to give up this only place to live. At night, I just lay down on the straw mat in the woodshed. I heard Diana's cry from next door. "Oh, Brother Brian, why did you wet the Kong?" Then came the voice of her son. "Dad, what's wrong with you?" Finally, Diana's cry, Sister Ellie, come quickly, Brother Brian wet the Kong. What should I do?" I turned over, covered my head with the quilt, and pretended not to hear anything. There was a commotion outside for a while before everything quieted down. The next morning, as soon as I opened the door to the woodshed, I saw Diana and her son standing in the yard. Both of them looked unhappy. As soon as my son saw me, he yelled, "Mom, what happened to you last night? Aunt Diana called you for a long time, but you didn't respond. Dad wet the Kong, and you slept too soundly." Diana also joined in, looking aggrieved. "Yes, Sister Ellie, it's not easy for me, an outsider, to do anything." I watched them singing the same tune and sneered in my heart. Today is the busy season for wheat harvesting. Every household has to go to the fields to earn work points. I put on my backpack and picked up the farm tools to go out. My son stopped me. "Mom, you stay at home and look after Dad today, and Diana and I will go to the fields." Diana also nodded. "Yes, Sister Ellie, you are not feeling well, so just rest at home and take care of Brother Brian." In the past, I would be grateful and think that my son has grown up, but now I just think they want to get me away. What's more, when Brian is sick, I can't take care of him alone. "No need, let's go together. More people, more strength." I didn't give them the chance to refuse. I walked out of the yard first and went to the wheat field. I bent down and started to work. Not long after, I heard people talking next to me. It turned out that Brian was stomping around in the field, making a sound of ja 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 from his mouth. The wheat that had been harvested with great difficulty was trampled all over the place by him, and it was no longer possible to thresh the wheat. "Oh, Brother Brian, come down quickly. Don't trample on the wheat." Diana stood on the ridge of the field, stamping her feet and shouting anxiously. The son quickly ran over to pull his father, complaining, "Dad, what are you doing? This is all food." But Brian pushed his son away and continued to have fun in the field. The members who were working around stopped to watch the fun and pointed at things. The son couldn't stop his father and turned to me angrily and shouted, "Mom, how are you looking at Dad? He let all the wheat be destroyed. How many work points will be deducted?" Diana also echoed, "Yes, Sister Ellie, think of a solution quickly." I straightened up, looked at the scene in front of me, and threw the sickle in my hand onto the edge of the field. "Since you all like to watch the fun so much, then this job will be handed over to you. My chest hurts so much. My old illness has come back. I have to go see Uncle Lou." After saying that, I no longer paid attention to their surprise, turned around, and left. The son shouted behind me, "Mom, where are you going? The work in the field is not finished yet." I didn't even turn my head. Uncle Lou's house is at the east end of the village. He felt my pulse and asked about the symptoms. His brows frowned. "Ellie, your old stomach disease is caused by fatigue. You have to take good care of it and can't work too hard." He prescribed me a few packets of herbal medicine and told me to drink it on time. I walked home with the herbal medicine and felt relieved. Fortunately, it's not the fatal tuberculosis in my previous life. This time, I will never work myself to death again. As soon as I walked under the big locust tree at the entrance of the village, I heard a few women gathered there gossiping. Diana was not a peaceful person when she was young. She killed all men. Now she comes to seduce Brian. Of course, Brian has recognized her since he fell. I think it is likely that she gave Brian some kind of love potion. Ellie is also a pitiful person. She has such a man and a son with a crooked elbow. I think Diana is a jinx. Whoever gets involved with her will be unlucky. When I got home, Brian was squatting on the doorstep playing with mud. Diana was sewing shoe soles in the house. I still felt stuffy in my chest. I thought about getting 2 eggs from the Kong hole and taking some money to the supply and marketing cooperative to buy some brown sugar to drink with water. That was the only savings in the family. There were also dozens of kilograms of food coupons, all wrapped in cloth and stuffed in the innermost part of the Kong hole. There was also the only jewelry my mother gave me when I got married, which I hid there. I reached in and touched, but I only touched cold bricks. My heart skipped a beat. I emptied the entire Kong hole. The cloth bag was gone. The money, food coupons, and my silver bracelet were all gone. I rushed out of the house and grabbed Brian, who was still playing in the mud. "Where is my money, food coupons, and my bracelet? Where did you hide the things?" Brian was startled by me and looked at me blankly. Then he giggled and pointed at Sualian in the house. Sualian heard the noise, put down her shoe soles, and came out. Seeing my furious look, she immediately put on an innocent expression. "Sister Ellie, what's wrong with you? Why are you so angry? What money? What bracelet? Stop pretending. Did you take the things?" I stared at her. Suelian immediately covered her face and cried, "Oh my God, I can't live this life. I came here with good intentions to help take care of Brother Brian, but in the end I became a thief. Suelian, have lived for most of my life. When have I ever had dirty hands and feet? I am innocent. I don't want to take the blame." While crying, she took out a few fruit candies from her pocket and stuffed them into the hands of her son, who had returned at some point. "Nathan, come and judge for yourself. Tell Mother, is my aunt the kind of person who steals and cheats? Your mother has wronged me to death." The son got the candy, stuffed the candy into his mouth, and glared at me. "Mother, what nonsense are you talking about? How could Aunt Diana take our things? I think you are just getting old and confused. You forgot where you put the things, and now you blame it on Aunt Diana. It's you who are getting old and confused." Seeing them pretending to be stupid and confusing right and wrong, my heart completely turned cold. I turned around, rushed to the stove, picked up the thick black fire tongs, and asked one last time, "Where's the thing?" I raised the tongs and pointed at the three of them. Brian saw that I was serious, and the silly smile on his face disappeared. He stood up and wanted to come up to snatch the tongs, still muttering, "If you don't give it to me, it's mine, Lienz." He thought I would be scared by him or knocked to the ground by him like before. But I am no longer the Ellie who was at the mercy of others. The moment he stretched out his hand to grab my arm, I swung the pliers without hesitation and smashed his arm hard. Brian let out a scream, squatted down holding his arm, grimacing in pain. This time he was not pretending. "Mom, why are you hitting my dad?" My son screamed and rushed over to me, trying to snatch the pliers from my hand. Suelian was also scared silly. Obviously, she didn't expect that I would really do it, and so cruelly. I pushed my son hard, making him stagger and fall to the ground on his butt. I held the pliers and looked at the three of them with cold eyes. If anyone dares to move again today, I will make him suffer the same fate as this arm. Brian trembled with pain. Suelian was so scared that her face turned pale, and Nathan was too timid to come forward again. I can't take care of this family anymore. I put down the pliers without looking at them again and walked straight to the corner of the yard. I turned the handle and said to the microphone clearly, word by word, "Brother, I am Ellie. Bring your comrades to my house soon." Brian has become even crazier. He beats people and steals things. I can't control him anymore. I have to send him to a mental hospital for electrotherapy. In less than half an hour, footsteps were heard outside the yard. Ellie, it's me. Your brother is here." I hurried out to greet him. I saw my brother standing at the gate of the yard with 4 comrades in military uniforms. "Ellie, what do you think of your face?" When my brother saw me, his brows twisted into knots. I then remembered that I still had the scars on my face from being beaten by Brian a few days ago. My brother looked at the scars on my face, and the anger in his eyes grew stronger and stronger. "Brother," I said as we entered the house. I led them into the yard. When Brian saw the men in military uniform, he immediately hid behind Suelian, his body shaking constantly. Suelian pulled the corner of his clothes hard, with a smile on her face. "Isn't this Ellie's brother? Long time no see." As she spoke, she poked Brian with her elbow. Brian immediately reacted, grinning foolishly, with saliva flowing down the corners of his mouth. His eyes became dull. I don't recognize you, he muttered incoherently, patting his head. My brother narrowed his eyes, walked up to him, grabbed Brian's collar, and brought him in front of me. "Brian, stop pretending. You've been playing crazy and fooling my sister for 5 years. It's time to pay back today." Brian's body stiffened for a moment, and then he began to struggle frantically again, patting his head. "I don't recognize you, it hurts. It hurts." My brother was unmoved, turned to me and said, "Ellie, tell me everything about the family, don't be afraid." I told him everything about how Brian pretended to be crazy and fooled me all these years, how Suelian colluded with the father and son, and how they stole my savings and silver bracelets, these damn beasts. After hearing this, the comrades behind my brother were furious. Brian saw that something was wrong, and he muttered incomprehensible words, his eyes rolling around. Suelian also rubbed his hands nervously and kept defending Brian. He really had a broken brain. Sister Ellie misunderstood. My brother sneered. He pushed Brian onto the millstone in the middle of the yard and said, Brian, if you pretend to be crazy again, I will send you to the county hospital today to have a thorough checkup of your brain. Let the doctor perform a craniotomy on you to see what's wrong with you. As soon as he finished speaking, Brian's body trembled noticeably, and he suddenly stopped pretending to be stupid. Brother, I was wrong. I shouldn't have treated Ellie like that. I will return the money and the bracelet to her. I will return them all to her. Brian knelt on the ground with a plop and took out my savings and silver bracelet wrapped in cloth from his arms. My brother took the things and put them in my hands, then turned to Brian and said, Do you think this is the end? You have deceived my sister for 5 years, beating her and scolding her, making her suffer. Why can you just admit your mistake and get away with it? As he was speaking, the village chief and several villagers also came. The village chief wanted to scold me, but when he saw several soldiers standing in the yard, he immediately changed his face. What's going on? Comrade Ellie, what happened to your family? Do you need help from our village committee? My brother glanced at the village chief coldly. You came at the right time. I have a few things to say in front of the whole village. He looked at his comrades behind him, then at Brian, who was kneeling on the ground. He coughed and frowned. Brian, Suelian, what happened? You guys tell me. Beads of sweat appeared on Brian's forehead. Village chief, I just broke my brain, and I'm confused sometimes. Suelian waved her hands hurriedly. I don't know anything. Brother Brian took the money himself. I never touched a single needle or thread in Ellie's family. The two pushed and shoved, blaming each other. Brian said that he was confused to take the money, but Suelian said that Brian took the money intentionally. The village chief heard these words and frowned more and more. The brother sneered, Village chief, my brother-in-law is really amazing. He turned to face the onlookers and pointed at Brian. This crazy bastard cheated my sister for 5 years. Look at him. He doesn't pretend to be stupid anymore. He's scared now, right? The crowd talked one after another. Brian is not really stupid. He has been pretending for so many years. Oh my God, how pitiful Ellie is. The brother continued to reveal the truth. Why did he pretend to be crazy? It was to avoid working, so that my sister, a woman, would have to do the housework, work in the fields, and take care of his eating, drinking, and defecation. The village chief's face turned pale. He strode to Brian and raised his voice. Brian, you are really pretending to be crazy. Brian was trembling all over, lowered his head, and dared not speak. The brother looked at Nathan again, and this unfilial son also plotted against his own mother, colluded with Diana to deduct my sister's work points, and made my sister work so hard but not even have a bite of meat. Nathan's face was pale, his legs were weak, and he knelt on the ground with a thud. No, mother, I am not. The village chief's face became even uglier when he heard about the deduction of work points. Nathan, this is true. Nathan stammered and could not speak. The village chief snorted heavily. Work points are collective things, distributed by the collective. You have violated the principle of collectivism and undermined socialist construction. Diana saw that the matter was exposed. She began to wipe away tears nonstop, trying to gain sympathy. I was forced to do this. Brother Brian asked me to help take care of him, but I didn't want to. It was all Brother Brian's idea. When Brian heard her putting all the blame on himself, he jumped up anxiously. Diana, how could you do this? It was you who clearly said that as long as Ellie died, you would marry me, and our family would be as happy as gods. As soon as these words came out, no one could believe their ears. Diana's thoughts were exposed, and she could no longer maintain her disguise. She rushed to Brian. Wang Brian, you heartless thing, you swear not to tell anyone, you swear. The brother smiled and motioned for his comrades to come forward. Tie them all up, Brian. Come with me to the county for discipline. 2 soldiers came forward and tied Brian up tightly in no time. The village chief took out a small notebook and pointed at Nathan's nose. Nathan, from today on, you are expelled from the production team. Our village does not need such an unfilial son. Nathan knelt on the ground and cried loudly, but no one pleaded for him. Diana was surrounded by several angry village women, looking miserable. I stood aside, watching all this, feeling refreshed in my heart. The suffering and tiredness of the previous life finally had an explanation. My brother put his arm around my shoulders. "Ellie, don't be afraid. I'm here." The people in the village began to curse Diana. "You shameless vixen. Not only did you kill your own man, but you also came to bring disaster to other people's families. Just look at your behavior, flirting and seducing other people's men all day long. You are shameless. Stop shouting, pack up your things, and get out of our village." Diana stood up hurriedly and wanted to run into the house to get something. Before she could run a few steps, a sturdy village woman brought a bucket of manure from the toilet and poured it on her head. The manure soaked her clothes and hair, and the stench was terrible. She ran out of the yard crying, followed by a group of yelling village women, and was driven to the village entrance. I watched this scene without any sympathy. Everyone knelt in front of me, crying and sobbing. He grabbed my trouser leg and wouldn't let go. Mother, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. You can hit me or scold me, but don't disown me as your son." I sneered and took out a stack of crumpled papers from my arms. "What is this?" I threw the papers in his face. Nathan was stunned for a moment, reached out to pick up the papers. His face turned pale. Those were the bills and money he secretly hid in the haystack, all of which were the work points and food coupons withheld from me. "You are the flesh that fell from my body, but you bit me harder than a wolf." Nathan started to cry. "Mother, I really know I was wrong, and I will definitely be filial to you in the future." I ignored him and turned away. The village chief looked at the scene, sighed, and walked towards me. "Comrade Ellie, your house is not very convenient to live in now. There is a newly built tile house at the east end of the village. It was originally for teachers who came to the village to teach, but the teacher hasn't come yet, so you should live there first. After your brother sends Brian away, our village committee will study your family's affairs." The next morning, with the help of several village women, I packed my luggage. We moved into the new tile-roofed house at the east end of the village. Although the house was simple, it was a world of difference compared to the adobe house I used to live in. There was a brand new wooden bed, a small table, and 2 chairs in the house. What surprised me most was that there was a private well behind the house, so I didn't have to carry a bucket and walk half a mile to fetch water every day. Half a month later, my brother came back. He smiled and told me, "Ellie, I have applied to be transferred to the vicinity of this county town, and I will come to see you when I have time." I was surprised and asked, "Really? What about Brian?" "He was locked up and healed his illness. He won't be back in a short time." My brother patted my hands. "Just live here with peace of mind. I will take care of the rest." In the following days, my brother came every day. He helped me tidy up the yard, repair the house, and even helped me work in the fields. When the villagers saw me, they all praised me for having a good brother. One day, the team leader of the production team came to visit and brought good news. "Comrade Ellie, the village committee has studied it and decided to allocate you a separate piece of arable land. You don't have to work with the production team anymore." I was stunned. This is an unprecedented thing in the village. The team leader saw me in a daze. He explained with a smile, "This is special care, considering that you are in poor health and you are alone, farming by yourself, and have more flexible time." My life is gradually getting back on track. In the evening, just after I finished my meal, I heard someone knocking on the door. I opened the door and saw that it was the captain and several villagers. They were also holding 2 people. "Ellie, the members who were patrolling tonight found these 2 thieves sneaking into your house," the captain said angrily. I looked at Nathan and Suelian. They were ragged and covered in dust. "What did they want to do?" asked coldly. A villager took out a knife from Suelian's arms and said, "Looking at this posture, they either want to steal things or want to hurt people. These 2 people hate me to this extent." The captain patted my shoulder. "Don't be afraid. We have tied them up in the ancestral hall. Tomorrow the whole village will come to judge." The next morning, all the villagers gathered in front of the ancestral hall. Nathan and Suelian were tied to 2 pillars. They lowered their heads and dared not look at people. The village chief stood up and loudly announced their crimes. sneaking into other people's homes in the middle of the night. People with bad intentions cannot be tolerated in our village. The villagers spurned them. Some spat at them, and some called them shameless. Diana was scolded so much that she couldn't raise her head. Everyone in the hall burst into tears and begged me for forgiveness. I stood in the crowd and looked at them without any sympathy in my heart. "Ellie, what do you think we should do with them?" the village chief asked me. I thought about it and said, "Drive them out of our village and never let them come back." The villagers cheered in unison. Several young and strong men stepped forward and drove them out of the village with brooms and sticks. That afternoon, I was hanging up the freshly washed clothes in the yard when Brian appeared out of nowhere. He knelt outside the door of my yard and cried, "Ellie, can you take me in? I really have nowhere to go." I looked at him without saying a word. He continued to beg, "I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. I shouldn't have pretended to be crazy and lied to you. I will treat you well in the future." I looked at him coldly and said, "Brian, go back. It's over between us a long time ago. Ellie, please, I really know I was wrong." He crawled to my feet and tried to grab my trouser leg. I took a step back to avoid his hand. "Go back. I will not forgive you." After saying that, I turned and went into the house and closed the door. Brian did not leave. He just knelt in front of my yard and did not move all day. Later, it rained all afternoon and stopped when it was dark. I pushed open the door and saw Brian still kneeling there. He was soaked, his lips were purple, and he was trembling all over. When he saw me come out, he immediately raised his head with hope in his eyes. "Ellie, can you?" I walked up to him and looked down at the man who once made me feel so miserable. "Wong Brian, you pretended to be crazy and deceived me for so many years. Now it's your turn to suffer." After saying that, I closed the door without looking back. After the autumn harvest, a tailor came to the town and set up a temporary stall in the village to help the villagers make winter clothes. I took my own cloth to him to make a cotton-padded jacket. I watched him cut and sew, and my eyes were reluctant to leave for a moment. "Comrade, do you like watching me make clothes?" Master Victor asked me with a smile. I nodded embarrassedly. "I like this. I wanted to learn it when I was a child, but unfortunately I didn't have the chance." Master Victor's eyes lit up. "Why don't you come and be my apprentice? I see you have a dexterous hand and should be able to learn quickly." So I started to learn sewing from Master Victor. At first, I just helped to thread the needle. Gradually, I learned how to cut, and finally, I could sew even complicated patterns. Master Victor praised me as the most talented apprentice he had ever seen. 3 months later, Master Victor was going back to the town. Before leaving, he told me good news. "Ellie, the county is going to open a handicraft workshop specializing in sewing. I recommend you to be the team leader." I was so surprised that I was speechless. "Can I do it?" "Of course you can. Your craftsmanship has caught up with mine. Go ahead. There is a fixed salary every month, which is much better than farming." With the support of the village chief, I went to the county's handicraft workshop. The person in charge saw the samples I sewed and decided on the spot to make me the team leader with a fixed salary of 25 yuan per month, which is an astronomical figure in the village, more than what I could earn from farming for a year. Everyone in the village envied me for having a new way out. Only Brian became more destitute. He was homeless and could only spend the night under a big tree at the entrance of the village. During the day, he wandered around the village. He picked up some discarded leftovers to fill his stomach. He shivered with cold at night. He was so thin that he was just skin and bones. One day, I came back from the county town and saw him begging at the entrance of the village. Several children surrounded him, throwing stones at him and laughing at him for being a fool. Brian huddled up with despair and numbness on his face. When he saw me walking by, he opened his mouth to say something, but I didn't stop and walked straight past him. As for Diana, I heard that she remarried to a wealthy businessman in his 50s from the next village. The man was well off but had a weird temper. He married Diana just to have face in the village. Diana was locked up at home all day and was treated as a decoration. She was not allowed to go out. The rich businessman's children looked down on her and made things difficult for her everywhere. The arrogant Diana has now become a laughingstock and a punching bag for other people's families. Nathan's fate is even worse. After he was driven out of the village, He had nowhere to go and finally fell into stealing. One day, he stole something from a store in the county town and was caught on the spot. The people from the Public Security Bureau escorted him to the village. The sentence was announced in public: 3 years of labor reform. After the reform period, he was not allowed to return to the village within 3 years. The wives in the house had long been disappointed in him. When he was away, they took their children and remarried in other places and never came back. When I heard the news, my heart was calm. Every wrong has its perpetrator, and every debt has its creditor. Everything they suffered was caused by their own actions. After half a year of hard work, my performance in a handicraft workshop was recognized by my superiors. The county leaders came to inspect in person, looked at the clothes I made, and praised them repeatedly. Comrade Ellie has good craftsmanship. Are you interested in opening a small shop specializing in handicrafts? Our county is just going to develop this area. I was flattered and nodded quickly. The leaders made the decision on the spot and approved a shop in the county town for me, and also subsidized a sum of startup funds. I also moved into the county town with my own shop. The county leaders arranged a brick house for me. Although it was not big, it was clean and tidy. Lying in bed at night, I thought of the hard days I had spent in the adobe house. It seemed like a lifetime ago. My shop is located on the busiest street in the county town, specializing in handmade embroidery and fabric products. The pillowcases and handkerchiefs made by rural women have become exquisite after my improved designs. The ladies in the city like to come to my shop to choose. The patterns are so delicate and the stitches are so fine. As the business of the store is getting better and better, I have also saved a lot of money. I opened a passbook in the bank and deposited the money I earned every month. Ellie, who used to worry about $1, now has a small treasury. Life is getting better and better, and my complexion has also improved. The wrinkles on my face have reduced, and I have gained weight. I look much younger than my actual age. One day, my brother came to my shop with a middle-aged man. Ellie, let me introduce someone to you. This is Brother Tom, a relative of my comrade-in-arms, who works in the county supply and marketing cooperative and is the only one at home. I understood what my brother meant, and my face heated up. Brother Tom is an honest middle-aged man. He speaks softly and has clear eyes. After chatting for a few words, I knew that he is a kind and down-to-earth good man. Under my brother's arrangement, we had several meals together and became closer. Brother Tom respects me very much. He never mentions the past and only cares about whether I am doing well now. Comrade Ellie, are you used to the meals in the cafeteria? It's cold. Is there a stove in your room? His concern made me feel the long-lost warmth. My brother asked me privately, Ellie, Brother Tom is a good person. What do you think of him? I shook my head. Brother, I know you are doing this for my own good, but I don't want to remarry for the time being. I am fine the way I am now, free and unconstrained. Seeing my firm attitude, my brother didn't say much. Although Brother Tom felt sorry, he still came to see me as a friend and helped me purchase supplies and repair the store. One day, Aunt Lee from the village came to my store with her little granddaughter. Ellie, my granddaughter wants to go to school, but my family really can't afford it. I looked at the timid little girl and remembered how much I longed to study when I was a child. Aunt Lee, don't worry, I will pay for the child's tuition. Aunt Lee was so moved that she kept wiping away tears. From then on, I began to sponsor children from several poor families in the village to go to school. Every month, I took out a part of my income for them to buy books and stationery. This matter soon spread in the village. The villagers all said that Ellie had a good heart and did not forget her roots even though she had made a difference. Every New Year and other festivals, I would go back to the village to visit my fellow villagers and bring them good things that cannot be bought in the county town. When the village chief saw me, he would always say with a smile, Ellie, you are living a better life than anyone else. I smiled with relief. It was these villagers who lent a helping hand when I was in the most difficult time and gave me courage and strength. My small shop has gained a firm foothold in the county town, and the business is getting bigger and bigger. From the initial 1 store, it has expanded to 2 stores. Later, a branch was opened in a nearby town. I hired a few helpers, all young girls from the village, and taught them the skills of sewing and embroidery. The bullied and plotted Ellie has now walked out of the shadows and ushered in a new life. 3 years later, I was busy in the store that day when a young man from the village came running in. "Aunt Ellie, Brian is very ill and is almost dying. He wants to see you for the last time." The needle in my hand stopped for a moment and then continued to thread the cloth. "Where is he?" I asked calmly. "He has been lying in the shabby house at the entrance of the village for several days. He will not die until he sees you." I sneered and shook my head. "No need. He and I have nothing to do with each other a long time ago." The young man wanted to say something else, but I raised my hand to interrupt him. "Go back and tell him that he owes me money in the next life." A few days later, the news of Brian's death came. I heard that he kept repeating my name before he died, saying sorry to me and begging for my forgiveness. The villagers buried him in the simplest way, without even a decent coffin. I did not go to see him off for the last time, but only burned a few pieces of paper money at home to end this bad relationship. In the winter of the same year, I met Diana on the streets of the county town. She was disheveled and half-dressed. She was singing on the street with a broken bowl. It was raining heavily. Her voice was hoarse, but she was still singing hard. No one passing by was willing to stop and listen to her singing. It turned out that she was divorced by the rich businessman and fell to the point of singing on the street. When she saw me, she was stunned for a moment, her eyes full of shame. I stood in the rain, took out a few dollars from my bag, put them in her bowl, turned around and left without saying a word. After the 3-year labor reform term was over, Nathan returned to the county town. He didn't dare go back to the village and didn't know where to go. Finally, he found my shop. When I opened the door that morning, I saw him kneeling at the door of the shop with a haggard face. "Mom, I know I am not worthy of calling you Mom, but I really have nowhere else to go." I walked up to him and looked at this son who once disappointed me so much. He was no longer the arrogant young man. 3 years of forced labor had worn away all his edges. "Get up, don't embarrass yourself here," I said calmly. After entering the store, I took out an envelope from the drawer and pushed it in front of him. "Here are 50 yuan, enough for you to start a new life in another place. From now on, don't come to me again. Our mother-son relationship is gone." Nathan took the envelope with tears in his eyes. "Mom, my mom." I waved my hand and interrupted him. "No need to say more. Just live your life well." Nathan bowed deeply to me, turned around and walked out of the shop and never looked back. 5 years later, my business was booming. The small shop had moved to the most prosperous commercial street in the county and had expanded several times in size. My handicrafts were sold as far as the provincial capital, and some people even came from Beijing to place orders. The leaders of the county often bring guests from other places to visit my shop and praise me as the pride of the county. I live in a brick house that I bought myself, with 3 main rooms and a small courtyard with flowers all year round. My brother has also retired from the army and lives next door with his sister-in-law. He often comes to my house for dinner. He always smiles and says, "Ellie, who would have thought that you would have achieved what you have today?" I smiled and nodded, my heart full of gratitude. My life is peaceful and rich. Occasionally, I would hear some sporadic news about those people in the past from the gossip of the villagers. Brian's grave has long been overgrown with weeds, and no one cares about it. Sualian fell ill not long after singing on the street and finally disappeared. Some people said that she returned to her parents' home, while others said that she died in a foreign land. After Nathan's labor reform term was over, he went to work far away and never returned to the county town. He completely cut off contact with me. Dust to dust, earth to earth, everything is a thing of the past. Brother Tom has been caring about me like an old friend all these years, silently caring for me during festivals and holidays. He would send me some cloth or snacks that were in short supply in the supply and marketing cooperative. If the store was short of something, I just had to tell him, and he would always find a way to get it for me. My brother asked me indirectly more than once what I thought of Brother Tom. I always smiled and shook my head, saying, "Brother, I'm fine being alone now. I don't have to serve anyone or look at anyone's face. I'm free and at ease. But when it's late at night and everyone is asleep, I sometimes feel that this house seems a little too empty." That evening, Brother Tom came to see me again with a basket of fresh loquats. The afterglow of the setting sun sprinkled on his honest face with warmth. "Comrade Ellie, this is just sent from my hometown. Please try it." He put the basket on the stone table and rubbed his hands awkwardly. We sat in the yard and chatted casually. He asked me about the business in the store and whether I was feeling well. I looked at the few strands of silver hair that had quietly climbed up his temples, and my heart suddenly moved. For so many years, he has been by my side, not too far or too close, giving me respect and warmth. Perhaps I can also try to take another step forward. "Brother Tom, let's have dinner here." He was stunned for a moment, and a surprised smile blossomed on his face. Good, good. The food that night was especially delicious. Looking at Brother Tom's satisfied smile and listening to the laughter of my brother and sister-in-law coming from the next yard, I suddenly felt that there might be another kind of warmth in this world that is worth my approach.